It is 7:43 p.m. on a Thursday. Maria sits at her kitchen table in Columbus, Ohio. Three envelopes are in front of her. Her phone shows a bank balance of $214. The cursor on her laptop has not moved in 4 minutes. She is not watching television or checking messages. She is staring at the envelopes, unable to move. She knows what is inside them. She knows what is at stake. She cannot open them. The question this video answers is simple. Why can't she just pick one and pay it? Most people call this procrastination, avoidance, or a lack of financial discipline. That explanation sounds tidy, but it is wrong. What is happening in Maria's body at 7:43 p.m. is a neurological threat response. Researchers at major institutions have used functional MRI, a brain imaging technique that tracks blood flow in real time, to study what happens when people face financial danger. The amygdala is the first region to light up. It is the brain's threat detection center, the system that responds to social rejection, relationship loss, and physical danger. A 2022 meta-analysis reviewing dozens of neuroimaging studies confirmed the pattern. Financial dread is processed first by fear circuitry, not by the rational parts of the brain. The envelope hits the threat system before it reaches the decision system. That is why an overdue utility notice can trigger the same alarm as real danger. At 3 p.m. that same day, Maria came home from her second rideshare shift and dropped her bag on the counter. The electric bill was already there, waiting for 5 days. She felt the drop in her chest that the brain scan research predicts, then put a library book on top of the envelope. That was not a careful choice. It was relief. The bill disappeared from sight and the pressure eased for a moment. That tiny relief is the key to the whole loop. At 5 p.m., while making dinner, she thought about the envelope again and the dread came back sharper because she had waited longer. At 7 p.m., she made coffee. She did not want just to stay busy. Each time she moved away from the envelope, the discomfort eased briefly. Her brain learned a simple lesson. Avoidance works. Behavioral scientists call this an avoidance loop. The threat appears, the body reacts, the person hides from the threat, and the temporary relief reinforces the hiding. By 7:43 p.m., a $140 electric bill has grown enormous, not because of the amount, but because of the fear and delay wrapped around it. Maria is not lazy. She is trapped in a loop her nervous system keeps rewarding. At 7:51 p.m., Maria opens the envelopes. The electric bill is $140 due in 4 days. The car insurance payment is $190, already 8 days past due, and one more miss cancels the policy. The credit card minimum is $65, but the balance is $2,300 and interest keeps growing. She has $214. She cannot pay all three. She can barely pay two. So she starts weighing losses. Pay the electric and insurance, and she is still short by $116. Pay the electric and the credit card, and the insurance cancels. Pay only the insurance, and she has $24 left for gas and food while the electric bill still hangs over her. There is no good option. Daniel Kahneman and Amos Tversky showed that losses feel much worse than equivalent gains feel good. So every path forward hurts before it begins. When every choice requires giving something up, the decision system slows down. It does not fail to choose because it is careless. It stalls because each door opens onto a painful outcome. Sendil Mullainathan and Eldar Shafir found another pressure layer. Financial scarcity consumes working memory, the mental space used for planning and reasoning. Maria is not just stressed. She is trying to solve a hard problem with less cognitive bandwidth than she normally has. Threat response, avoidance, loss aversion, and reduced bandwidth are all hitting the same kitchen table at once. This freeze is older than online banking and credit scores. It began when ordinary people moved from irregular exchange to fixed monthly obligations and wages paid in cash. In Lancashire in the 1820s, mill workers were sometimes paid with vouchers that could only be spent at company stores, which made it hard to turn wages into coal, rent, and food. A mill operative named Mary Reeves, a widow with 4 children, testified in parliamentary hearings in 1831 about choosing between coal and rent through a winter. She could not afford both, so she heated the house only on the nights when the cold became dangerous. Her testimony helped push Parliament toward the Truck Act of 1831, which mandated cash wages and banned voucher systems. Her calculation and Maria's calculation are the same. The bills look different, but the feeling is identical. In 1932, Samuel Insull's utility empire collapsed during the Great Depression, and more than 500,000 households lost power. Families across Chicago had to make the same frozen trade-off by candlelight: heat, food, or rent. The collapse helped drive utility regulation and later consumer protections. Neither Mary Reeves nor those Chicago families thought they were part of a structural pattern. They thought they were failing personally. The record says otherwise. This is a recurring feature of fixed obligations meeting variable income. Back in Columbus, Maria sits with the open envelopes for 20 minutes and starts acting. She pays the electric bill online. She calls the credit card company and asks for an extension, something she has never done before, and they give her 14 days without a late fee. A gym membership she forgot to cancel charges $32, and she cancels it right away. The car insurance still needs attention, so she calls the insurer, gets put on hold, and leaves a callback number. Then she puts the envelopes in a folder and closes it. Her bank balance drops to $42. The problem is not solved, but the evening is over. The gap between dread and action was 4.5 hours. The action itself took 22 minutes. The science does not give Maria extra money. It gives her a better frame for what is happening. When the threat response says, "Do not open the envelope," naming that response as neurological rather than moral can shorten the freeze. It does not erase the pressure, and it does not pay the bills, but it does reduce the shame that keeps the loop running. Shame makes the next triage harder. Understanding makes the person at the table a person under threat, not a person without discipline. In 2023, 78% of Americans were living paycheck to paycheck, according to Lending Club. 40% could not cover a $400 emergency, according to the Federal Reserve. 11% of paycheck to paycheck households were forgoing medication to keep up with housing costs. Those numbers describe millions of evenings like Maria's: 3 envelopes, a bank balance that falls short, a cursor that does not move. What they do not show is the 4.5 hours of dread before the 22 minutes of action. They do not show the amygdala firing at a bill. They do not show the shame that turns a hard decision into a personal verdict. Mary Reeves faced it by an unlit hearth in 1831. Chicago families faced it in 1932. The structure changes shape, but the logic stays the same. Fixed obligations, variable income, a brain built for a different kind of threat. The paralysis you feel when you choose which bill to miss is not weakness. It is a threat response in a system that keeps producing threats. That understanding will not pay the bills, but it changes the next move, and it changes the way you see yourself and everyone else at that table.